everyone, and welcome, welcome. I am so excited that you are here for Thank Me Later in my favorite series, which is the Real Life series, Real Life. We all know that life is going to hand us a whole bunch of different events and things, and sometimes we're going to feel equipped, other times we're going to be like, what is going on? But it's new to you. It isn't new at all. But I'm excited tonight because I have one of the baddest chicks in the game, someone that I regard not just as a colleague, but as a friend, Miss Tanya Mitchell Graham, Esquire attorney. How are you, Tanya?
I'm fine, Miss Janai Thornton. Thank you so much for having me. The pleasure is mine. It's always a pleasure to be with you.
Well, I am happy that you're here because we're talking about a very important topic tonight, divorce. This is a big one. Yeah, yes, this is a big one. Last time you were here, we were talking about child support, the other big one.
Yes.
Yeah. But I'm happy that you're here, and you are the owner of the law office of Tanya Mitchell Graham, PC, in the Metro Atlanta area. Yes. I've had the pleasure of knowing you and working with you. What do you think?
Since 2004.
Oh my gosh. We're just going to say forever.
Yes.
we're just going to say forever. But what I have said about you is I'm happy to have always been on the same team with you.
Yes.
Happy not to have been on the opposing counsel with you.
Yes, yes, yes.
That is for sure. But again, just super grateful how generous you are with your time, how good you are at what you do. And I know how difficult family law is, you know, because you're dealing with real people in real lives, and obviously divorce.
And real emotions,
real emotions, real people, real kids, real families.
Really the rest of somebody's life. Usually when they come to me, it's at crossroads in their life, and what we do makes a difference for the rest of their lives, the quality of their lives. So I think it's insanely important. I pray over my cases, and I'm just asking God, just use me for your will to be done in this situation.
Right. No, and I know how seriously you take your work and how seriously you are about taking really good care of your clients. And so I know that you have been practicing, look, as long as a lot of these people who are going to watch this have been on the planet.
Since 1992.
1992.
29 years.
Isn't that crazy? Can you believe it's been that long?
Girl, no.
Can you believe it? So attorney and also author. Yes. So I want to go ahead on. I want to make sure that we do this at the beginning and the end. I want them to see, please show your book, particularly as it relates to this particular topic here, divorce.
All right. Well, Janai, as you know, I myself am divorced. I was married for 17 years. And I would say I was probably married maybe 7 to 10 years longer than I should have been. And a lot of times when women contemplate divorce, our focus is not on ourselves, our own happiness, our well-being, but we're more concerned about if we have children, you know, how it will impact them. Sometimes we're embarrassed, humiliated that perhaps the marriage didn't work, and we make a decision and we change our mind, and then we decide again and we change our mind. And I too had that same struggle. And so what I did when I finally made my mind up, a lot of times when I'm talking to women, when they're going through divorce, I would say things like, girl, you need to save yourself, you know, before you change your mind. I know because, you know, and I'd give them my little story. And so what I did when I was going through my own divorce, I was having the same challenges, and I would write notes to myself daily to try to motivate myself, and my emotions were all over the place, and I did it for a year, but I made a book about it, and I called it Save Yourself, in parentheses, before you change your mind. And I used my maiden name, Mitchell, because I was trying to get back to her.
You were trying to get back to her. Yeah.
Yes. And so self-love, you know, and I had to motivate myself daily. And just because I am a divorce attorney, right. I was not comfortable with, publicly going through the divorce. We ended up doing an uncontested divorce.
Right.
And I very quietly filed that and got through that. No one even knew I got through it until I was actually divorced.
Well, I appreciate you with your wealth of experience and knowledge, but also the fact that you've actually lived it, which gives you a completely different perspective. So thank you for being such an open book and sharing your life with us. So we're going to get right into it, Tanya Mitchell Graham, because honey, you know that this is a big one.
Yes, it is.
This is a big one, and I want to make sure that the women in our community are equipped. I'm not pro-divorce. I'm not encouraging anyone to get divorced, but we know it's a fact and it happens.
Yeah, I'm not pro-divorce either, believe it or not. I'm pro-family. However, divorce is just a real part of life, and sometimes you literally have to save yourself. You have to regain self-love. You have to do what's in your own well-being for your personal survival. No one wants to die unhappy. And so if you're in a toxic, abusive, which could be mentally abusive, of course, everyone knows to leave a physically abusive relationship, but there are mentally abusive relationships, financially abusive relationships, and women sometimes find themselves trapped in that, and then they lose their self-esteem. And so you have to really get strength together and gather some self-love to make that move. You have to love yourself. And what we do is we love others. We women, we love hard, and we love others to our personal detriment. And we love everyone else more than ourselves in the marriage. We love our husband, we love our kids, we love our lifestyle, we love our neighbors, and we don't want that change. But meanwhile, we are basically killing ourselves, hurting ourselves. Health issues begin to manifest when you're extremely unhappy, and we lose ourselves in that situation. So divorce is a big one. And it's really hard to come to that decision. The longer you go, the harder the decision is.
And I'm happy that you even mentioned beyond the person that we're in the relationship with and our children, that we love the life that we've created, the neighborhood that we live in, the house that we're in,
Yes.
the lifestyle, where our kids go to school, wherever it is, it's the whole thing that we have this love affair with. And the thought of disrupting that, I'm sure is devastating to some women.
Yes, and a lot of women, when the divorce is finally filed, they're actually still in the house with their husband. A lot of people don't know what that means, because they're in the house, but they're emotionally separated. They're no longer intimate. Oftentimes they're roommates. One person may have moved out of the master bedroom, and some people live like that for years, and that's not healthy for children to see either. You have to recognize and understand the impression you make upon your children. And so we women, when we have daughters, all right, however we allow ourselves to be treated, our daughters will allow themselves to be treated that way too. If we have sons, they will get the false impression that they can treat a woman a certain kind of way, which may not necessarily be right. They may think that, and so, you got to kind of come outside yourself, but then get back within yourself to ultimately make the decision. And it's a hard one.
I know it's a hard one. So Tanya, when women are coming to you, what are some of the top reasons they are contemplating divorce?
Well, usually it's a plethora of issues. One of the biggest ones, of course, is adultery. And what's so funny, when women come in because their husband's committing adultery, it's not like, okay, he committed adultery one time and now I'm here. Usually when they come and the adultery, it has been a history of cheating. Sometimes it's with the same woman, or sometimes it's with multiple. I've had divorces where men have had entire separate lives with other women. I had one divorce where the woman was able to gather information, and her husband was cheating, you're not going to believe this, with 8 different women. He had 2 that were kind of his main ones in the metropolitan Atlanta area. He traveled for work. And so when he would go to certain places, he had women in those cities that he would see. And I'm not going to tell you how she got the evidence, but she had hard evidence, okay? And when he would go back to where he was from, he wasn't from Atlanta, he had a woman there too. So he had about 8. And because she had hard evidence, we subpoenaed quite a few of them for the final divorce trial. And we sequestered the witnesses, meaning they have to sit outside. And so some of the women thought they were the only other woman. They knew he was married.
They knew he was
but
married.
They didn't know that he had other women. So like a fight broke out in the hallway during the divorce trial. That was one of the best ones.
Oh my gosh.
But women come because of
Adultery.
Some women come because of course, physical abuse. Some come because of mental abuse for whatever reason. She and her husband have a disconnect, and he starts to become mean and ornery and insulting, not affectionate. Here's another reason. Some women who are go-getters, self-starters, sometimes a jealousy, competition, very unhealthy competition develops in the marriage.
Really?
Right? Oh my God, yes. And that makes for a toxic situation. Sometimes when the woman is the, I guess has the higher income. The man still wants to be the man, but sometimes some men can't handle their wives making more money than them. Then there are other times when women say, well, hey, when we got married, we both were ambitious and young and wanted to do things. I've done this, and my husband has decided, you know what, I'm going to let her work 2 jobs and 3 jobs and pay for private school, and I'm just going to kind of sit back. I actually have some cases with right now 3 women where their husbands won't contribute to the household that they're in and have a lifestyle. I have one client that actually pays 2. I have 2. They actually pay all of their husband's credit card bills. And so this guy lives like a lavish life because of his wife, drives a nice car, wears nice clothes, hangs out, and doesn't work. And so some women at some point, the guy may have worked at some time, right, and then they've stopped. They let her, okay, you want to take control, you do it, and I'm not going to work. So it's a lot of reasons. The step parent situation causes a lot of divorce. Sometimes people they marry people who have children from another relationship. So let's say from the woman's standpoint, sometimes our husband has, I guess for lack of a better phrase, baby mama drama with the prior mothers. That is difficult for some women to handle. Some of the exes insert themselves into the marriage, right, and cause discord. Other situations are where the wife may have a relationship, a child from a previous marriage or relationship, and sometimes the husband cannot get along with that child, particularly teenagers, particularly boys. I've had a few cases where the husband just could not get along with the stepchildren, and that causes problems. So there are a plethora of issues. I've had cases where men have perpetrated who they are, their background, their history, and women don't find out for years, and then they realize, this guy's perpetrated a fraud on me. He's not this. He doesn't have that. He's
not at all who he said he was.
He didn't go to school. He didn't this, and it's on. I don't encourage people to necessarily do a background check before they get married, but I'm trying to say it may not necessarily be a bad idea.
Certainly doesn't sound like it would hurt, for sure.
It doesn't hurt.
So Tanya, let me ask you this. So assuming a woman is experiencing one or a multitude of the issues that you just listed, and now she's contemplating it, she's thinking about it. She hasn't taken a step yet. What is her initial first step? Now that she's saying, you know what, I'm pretty sure I'm going to do this. Now she needs to do what?
She needs to have a consultation with a lawyer so that she can know what her rights are, even when she's just thinking about it. Sometimes I've had women who come in, and let's say if the woman is the homemaker, right? She especially needs to come in and get a consultation, because she thinks that this man will take care of her during the divorce like he's done during the marriage. See, when a divorce is filed, that's like declaring war, okay? And even though this man may be financially taking care of the household, the children, etc., and he lets you run those things while he's out, handling his business, being a business success, and maybe he's doing other things that cause a breakdown in the marriage. When a divorce is filed, that's not going to happen. He may cut you off from your credit cards. He may know someone at the bank that can remove you from a bank account, which you normally shouldn't be able to do. So they need to know what their rights are and how to set themselves up. Sometimes I tell them, listen, you need to put some money aside, because when a divorce is filed, he's going to cut you off financially. And I had one woman that said, oh, my husband wouldn't do that. Even though we're having problems, he'd never cut me off financially. So she came in about several months actually before she filed, and she did take my advice. But also when she did file, he immediately, the day he got served, cut her off from every credit card. Just totally shut it down. And she didn't have a job. She had no way to support herself. They were in the same house, but then he started not coming home, and he would pay the mortgage, but she's there with 2 kids. He wasn't even giving her money for food or gas.
So
right?
what I hear you saying, Tanya, is if you're contemplating it, you need to be very strategic. And it sounds like you need to be prepared for the worst case scenario, i.e., not having access to a bank account, credit cards, things that would be normal to you. You need to prepare as if that could potentially happen.
That's absolutely correct. The other thing you need to prepare for is, let's say you have children, depending on their age and your estranged husband's level of involvement. If you have a child that is between the ages of 11 and 13, you may want to ascertain who that child wants to live with. What happens in a lot of cases is, as soon as the woman files for divorce, even if the husband has never been involved, he now suddenly wants custody. He doesn't want to just get involved. He wants primary custody because he thinks child support is somehow a payment to the wife, and
Right.
he doesn't want to.
He don't want to pay,
so, right. And so if you have a child between the ages of 11 and 13, a court will consider in Georgia their desire in where they want to live. So sometimes before divorce is filed, I get the woman to get the children to sign an election to live with mom if they actually do. Now, when a child is 14 or older, they can decide which parent they want to live with, as long as that parent is not unfit, like 99.9% of the time. The judge is going to go with that child's election, who is 14 or older. All right. So they may want to think about that. They may want to think about, just other things like your basic daily life. Like sometimes, even though people are supposed to leave insurances and bills and everything status quo when a divorce is filed, sometimes the husband will take you off his insurance. He shouldn't do it. It's a violation of the standing order in the divorce. But what if you're contemplating and he does it before you file? Watch the transfer of assets, watch the mail. What comes in the mail? Make a list of all of his financial accounts. He will hide his financial accounts in discovery, especially if he is self-employed. Watch his moves. Like if he is self-employed and he has a business account, and you know for a fact that he uses his business account for personal expenses, make a note of that. Say, okay, I know he always pays the mortgage out of his business account. I know he always pays his child support for his, for his oldest child out of the business account. That's commingling of the funds, right? And so when the gentleman commingles funds, that gives us the opportunity to go in and impute some of that spending as income, because a lot of men who are self-employed will pay themselves a very small salary, right? And then they will use the business account for expenses. here's the other thing. Watch the credit cards. What credit cards does he use? Now, this is how a lot of men hide money, because they want to hide money in the divorce. They don't want to pay you a large amount of child support. They absolutely do not want to pay any spousal support. They're going to hide, and they especially don't want to pay your attorney's fees. They hate your attorney.
Hold on. I am so sorry.
What?
Why is my husband in the background? He's standing over there, like acting like he's keep touching his ear like he's listening.
Tell his friends, girl. He gonna tell his friends. I know he's good, but he gonna be like, man, let me tell you, this lady is out here telling all our secrets.
Oh my God. He is distracting me. He is, I had to stop and say that. I'm like, why? I'm here holding his ear, trying to take notes. He's taking notes. Like, wait a minute. David Thornton, get out of here with your crazy stuff. That is so funny.
David.
Honey, listen, I have teased my husband before. We have been together for 32 years. We've been married 27, which is crazy. I'm like, listen, I love you and we have an amazing relationship, but I just want you to know, if it's going down, I already got my representation. Don't even worry about it, boo. I'm good.
I'm telling you.
My kids are too old for child support, so I don't have to worry about that. But you know,
he's good there.
He's good there. No, we're good on that. But look back to the conversation. But what I hear you saying is, I hear you talking about the business of this, not just the emotion, because I understand how emotional that it has to be. But
you got to be about your business, because we're talking about the quality of the rest of your life. Okay.
Literally. And what I hear you saying is about how observant, we're naturally nosy, curious, call it whatever you want. We know what's going on, but how important
is what we call it.
How important it is to really be very intentional about know what he has, know what you all have, assets.
Know his moves, though.
Know his moves, know how he spends money and from where, bank accounts and credit card accounts. What are those?
It's really important with the credit card. I want to kind of underline that, because they will have a business American Express and use that for a lot of personal expenses, but then the business account pays that business American Express. That's why, you got to pay attention to how he's moving, because we absolutely need to get the statements for that business American Express in discovery in our divorce case. So pay attention to what he has and how he moves.
And how he's moving. Okay. And it sounds like before we are threatening, hey, I'm divorcing you, sounds like you need to be strategic gathering all this information. So
but I got to tell you the level to which what would help in gathering. Like if you can get those account numbers, or at least the last four.
The statements, copies of the statements.
Yes, of course. I'm talking about the bank statements, the credit card statements, anything. Pay attention to the mail. Now, you can't really open up the mail if your name's not on it. But, there are women who actually don't open mail and both names will be on it. Now, if both names are on it, you definitely need to open that up. That's how some women discover their husband is cheating, by opening the mail. All right. So
I'm sure that credit card statements. I'm
on the credit card. You seeing trips. Right. He's saying he's at a business trip here, and then you see, the dinner, and you see the gift on the business credit card statement. It wasn't for you. Okay. I'm just saying. Oh, pay attention to, for the new wave, his post.
Social media.
His Instagram post, because listen, if he's a real kind of player kind of guy, he may have things and you don't know, but they're in other people's names or they're in his business name. So he'll say, I don't own a car, but he's on Instagram. Driving. I got this Bentley, but it's through the business. And he's calling it a business expense. Screenshot these posts, because he's either going to go kind of quiet during the divorce, or he'll say that wasn't real money. That's not really mine. That's not my yacht. I didn't open up a new office here.
Right.
That's my business partner owns 90% of the business. You know,
Right.
if you happen to see the agreement or know where it is in the file in the house, like any files, make a copy of them and put them either in a safety deposit box or give them to the lawyer that you think you're going to hire.
Somewhere out
All
of the
right.
house is what I hear you saying. Don't keep
Out
the
of
copies
that,
in the house.
not only
Okay.
out of the house, but
Not
out
in,
of your vehicle.
we're not in
Because
your
your
car either.
husband,
Mm-hmm.
no, because a lot of women will gather up the information they need, put it in a bag or briefcase and put it in their car. And then their husband goes in there and gets it and has everything, you know? So you have to be not only strategic, but you have to protect the information and evidence that you have. If you don't have a safety deposit box or don't want to take it to a lawyer, take it to your mom's house or something, but don't keep it on your person.
And what about women who are taking pictures of things with their phones? How are you advising them? Are you telling them to upload that stuff to a Dropbox or a share file so he doesn't have access to
Upload it somewhere, because the guy will go in and destroy your phone, delete your pictures, etc. I would say, even if, you know, a lot of people want to put things up in the iCloud, you need to have another backup to that too, I say. Because sometimes these men know your passwords and you don't know that they know your passwords. Sometimes these men are, you know, IT savvy, and they'll get right in there and destroy all the information and evidence that you need to be successful in court. So you really have to kind of, you know, gather your evidence, and that's a period of time. You know, if you're contemplating divorce, I wouldn't say get a consultation and then file the next month. It's going to take you some months to properly gather that information, a couple of seasons at least. You know, when a lady comes in and she's not ready, or she thinks she's ready and she has nothing, I'm like, okay, I need you to gather evidence for at least 6 months, girl. You got to go in there with that same face.
Wow.
Don't run your mouth. Don't say, you know what? Let's not sister girl right now. This is not the time to be clapping and saying what you're going to do. Don't broadcast like, or your enemy. This is how I for. No, you strategically plan, you prepare, you gather that information, and you just keep it status quo. Everything's everything. He doesn't speak to you in the morning. You used to get mad. You're not mad anymore because you know that you are gathering that evidence. You continue to be yourself. Don't let on that something's going on. And a lot of times when these men are out doing wrong and treating a woman just badly, they are oblivious to the fact that she is now in preparation mode. She's in strategy mode. They're not paying attention to her. They're just leaving stuff on the counter. You get it, you copy it, you put it back on the counter. You know, you put it back where you got it from. Don't leave a trace. I mean, man, I'm giving you.
Right.
I know some men are like, wait, I thought you represent men. I do, but I'm just telling you how these women really, especially women who rely on their husband for their sustenance and for the support of their children.
Absolutely.
You're about to start a war.
Literally. Yeah.
It's anything goes. You will not know this man once a divorce is filed. He will act so out of character. You will question if you ever really knew him in the first place. Okay.
I mean, no, that's a really good point because, you know, I love how you're saying, I understand how emotional women can be when you're like clapping and you try.
Don't let on. No, sis. No.
Let's be focused. And, you know, like they say, wars take time.
They do.
They cost money. They cost money and they require a tremendous amount of preparation for sure.
Absolutely. So they need to really get their best performance on. I need them to win an Oscar, an Emmy, and a Tony. Okay. Like nothing is wrong. Oh, yes, dear. Oh, yeah. Go on the family vacation. Sure.
Absolutely. Sure.
See how he's spending, because now he's comfortable with you and the kids and everything. I once had a guy serve, please don't think I'm crazy, but they had a family vacation. They would do the Colorado every year. A trip. Honey, I had the FedEx guy dress up, FedEx, and hand him his divorce right then.
On vacation.
I did. I said, are you sure? I said, are you sure with this? Because, you know, some men, you got to know your husband to make certain that he won't be violent. But she had to,
Absolutely.
you know, that's important, safety. But she said, no, my guy is, you know, they had been married a number of years, and she was right. He was devastated, but that was how we needed to strike, because he was getting a little sloppy with his affair that he was having, and everybody knew, and he thought she didn't know. And so she just wanted to know. In the paperwork, you know, when I serve a divorce complaint, it is complete with discovery. So it's a, you know, it's a packet. It's going to knock you down.
Right, 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 right.